Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak. It's now 23 minutes to 7 o'clock. My name is Sam Kitutu, just in time for the discussion on the latest and what is informing public conversations. And I want to begin by introducing the panel that we have. Starting on my right, we have Richard Onyonka, the Member of Parliament for Kitutu Chache. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you, boss. Thank you.
We have former Senator of Kakamega, Boni Halwale. Karibu sana.
Good morning.
I haven't seen you in a long time, but you've been here anyway. Then we have Senator Sylvia Kasanga, nominated Senator of Wiper Party. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we have Maoka Maure, the Deputy Majority Whip at the National Assembly, Karibu sana, and he comes from the Jubilee Party.
Asante.
Well, and let's begin by looking at what is in the papers. And I want to begin with the story that you see on the front page of the Standard. Senator Halwale is laughing, and I know why, but I will not say why. Please don't say it. The story is Jubilee ejects Ruto from top party post. Fate of Ruto as deputy party leader now in the hands of the president, who needs to convene a National Executive Council meeting to ratify the powerful National Management Committee's decision to remove the DP from its leadership. And the story is on page 4, but there's a quote here attributed to Raphael Tuju, the Secretary General of the party, that NMC discussed and resolved to remove the DP as per the party constitution. The matter is active. We have the recommendation and are only waiting for the party leader to convene an NEC meeting to deliberate on the matter. And I want to begin with you, Deputy Majority Whip at the National Assembly, because, I mean, when it comes to the hierarchy of the leadership in the party, you may rank higher based on your position at Parliament. Is this the true position of the facts on the ground, that there's a resolution by NMC to remove DP as a Deputy Party Leader of Jubilee?
No, usually there have been management meetings on Mondays. And I'm sure you have been used to those kind of headlines on Tuesdays. And if the management has resolved, then it has not happened, because the decision has to be ratified by the party leader.
But can you confirm that there is such a resolution?
Well, I wouldn't tell you I am aware of it or not for now.
And because you said that there has been such headlines, what are those grounds? Because they say that he has affiliated with another political party. What did he do to warrant such kind of consideration that we're even having this discussion?
Well, I don't think there's any Kenyan who has doubt that he is no longer in Jubilee. There is no part of the Jubilee Constitution which talks about launching another political party. The colors, the headquarters, running candidates who are not Jubilee. It could be Jubilee or affiliated, but when you are the deputy party leader, it's quite a courageous and broad move which should be supported and respected.
So how did he launch a new political party?
You are not aware of a party called UDA?
UDA?
Yes.
So how did he launch it? That's what I'm interested in.
Well, you have not seen being launched. Colors and the candidates and the campaigns and the funding.
How did the deputy president
and even members of parliament actually running all over? Ask him, they were with them in Kabuchai and Matung. Ask him, Senate. He will tell you, he is with them.
Senator, you have affiliated with the deputy president just a few months after the 2017 election. And of course, you've seen you speak for that ambition of William Ruto in 2022. But is this warranted?
A political party is not private property. It is an institution. As soon as it is recognized and by the Register of Political Parties, it is an institution that is recognized and governed by the provisions of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it's amazing that our whip here has lost it completely by assuming that because during an election the deputy president is perceived to be supporting a candidate from that particular party, he then rushes to support the disciplinary measures. What must occur to you, Senator Honorable Maore, is that you have a coalition called Jubilee. Mm-hmm. And in that coalition, United Democratic Alliance is a member. And according to the Political Parties Act, if a member of a party mm-hmm. associates, supports the agenda of a party with whom they are in the same coalition is perfectly in order. This has been tested severally in court, not in the recent past, but even as long as 5-10 years ago, when such a discipline was attempted to be visited on members of parliament and other leaders. So it's not going to work. Number two, even if it was, you wanted to work, there is that question of the moral standing. You have had your party leader himself supporting the Orange Democratic Movement candidates in Msambweni. You saw it. Why didn't you expel the party leader, if that is the reason? So you'll get away with it simply because you're starting to reach a point in this country where impunity is the norm. But even in the absence of impunity, you have to respect the law and make sure that what you're doing is found to be unlawful and you forget about it.
Mheshimiwa Onyonka, we live in this country and we've become a democracy of coalitions because no single political party has been able to win an election. The first attempt was the Jubilee Party, but still worked with other like-minded parties. But when such a thing is happening because of the introduction of UDA and what he's saying that they're affiliated and there's no problem in advocating for such kind of interest, would it be normal for Kalonzo Musyoka to go campaigning for ODM and advancing the agenda of candidates under ODM when he has fallen out with his political party?
Thank you. I think maybe that is the split of airs that my brother Senator Boni is raising. It's a very critical issue in law. If you are arguing, in fact, Sam, I would like to tell you that for me, I'm really happy what is happening with these Jubilee guys. Because they were shafting us all over the place after the last election, Namtadu, you people shut up, you know, Jubilee is the mother and mama, and everything. I'm happy completely because we are back to asking the critical questions. Question number one you've asked is, does it make sense that President Uhuru can decide to withdraw the candidature of a Jubilee candidate in Mombasa? Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, should he withdraw a candidate who's running in Kabuchai? For example, in Kabuchai where I was, ODM withdrew their candidate deliberately. It was strategic on their part. And then again, should Kenyan political parties have these coalitions even when they consider themselves to be legal entities which are independent? I think that's a critical question we have to ask ourselves. And number two, I come in as a Kenyan politician. My brother Boni is looking at the moral standing. Boni, you know this game we play, politics of Kenya, has no morality. This is just the den of crooks and thugs, people who have just been running this country roughshod. Many of them pretend to hold a higher moral ground. But in reality, you're talking about personal and self-interest issues and certain interests which they will adopt at some other time. My feeling is, and this is something maybe I will ask Boni to clarify for me or for us, when was UDA registered for them to have formed a coalition with Jubilee? I would like to know. Because I just saw UDA the other day, I saw their uniforms the other day. And the other question that I think is very critical, Mwami, is this. The behavior of the deputy president, and you know is somebody I personally respect, the comments he makes about his president, who's President Uhuru, or his party leader, he's like he's an adversary. Shouldn't we then start asking ourselves in Kenya about the law we passed after the promulgation of the Constitution in 2010? When we were trying to cure the issue, which was that previously the president would actually nominate, select a vice president as he so wished, and he would then end up eventually mistreating that vice president or even put the vice president in a position where he lowered his dignity and the vice president was always mistreated. But shouldn't we start asking ourselves that how do you cure this problem now? because we've realized what happens when you have a vice president who gets halfway through and decides he's not going to listen to what his party leader says. He's not interested in his agenda because the vice president wants to run for president most probably 2-3 years down the line or 2 years later, and yet the president is saying, I want to accomplish my agenda. And this agenda is what we should have been carrying along with us for the last 6 or 7 years. I think this is a contradiction that we must start interrogating and trying to ask ourselves the deeper question, and that is, did we actually cure the problem of the vice president being mistreated? Yes, and making sure the vice president toes the line per se, but did we create a monster in the process? In other words, if you had a company...
What's your short answer to that?
If you had a company and the managing director of that company is running the company and his deputy decides he's no longer going to listen to what the MD of that company says, what then do you do? I would really wish to get to know what...
So what is your short answer? Did we cure or did we create a monster?
I think we created a monster. We created a monster in the sense...
No, before you respond, I wanted to hear it from him.
No,
so that
Sam, thank you for saving me.
Okay.
No, we did.
No, I'll get to you, but first, wait, Honorable
I
Maure.
can do a quick sentence, then by now I've finished. You know, the intention was to protect or to cure behavior we had seen.
Yes.
But then what we have seen in this regime or this deputy president, we need to clean it up quick, because you really don't need to run your mandate for 5 years as a president. Now, when somebody feels that he wants to inconvenience you from day one, I don't think that's what Kenyans wanted.
Then you're too late, because it's just 16 months to the election.
Well, no, it's not late. It's not late.
Senator Sylvie Kasanga, of course, you come from Wiper Party, and you have less wars than the ruling party. But when you observe what has been going on, is this decision by what is reported by the Standard as National Management Committee making that decision, is it warranted given the relationship of the president and his deputy in the second term?
Yeah, Sam, first thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be in studio today. I usually don't like to comment much about the issues of Jubilee, because I'm not too privy to where the relationship even started and what was the intention and where it was going. But I can tell you in Wiper we don't have such issues. You might know. We don't live, I mean, in Wiper we don't have these issues. But I can say from where I sit that the wrangles of the Jubilee Party have really pulled this country far behind. We could have been much further, considering it's their second term. They should have been now actualizing some of the things that they had planned in the first term, and in the second term what we've seen is a series of wrangles. And I'm afraid that the more the wrangles there have been, the more it looks like personal interests come before the interests of the country. Because you'd have expected, with the little time that is remaining, people would have put aside their personal interests and really serve Kenyans, especially at a time now when we are seeing Kenyans with a lot of issues. We have a lot of economic issues, we have COVID, we have a lot of post-COVID effects, health, mental health, as well as economic. And going forward, the plan would have been a very solid base that is set by this government and seeing into the transition to the next government. But what we've had, of course, is a lot of wrangling and a lot of noise. And, you know, like us in Wiper, if you're not happy in the party, you're free to go. You've seen it with some of our very key members who opted out. You don't stay in the same party and start, you know, creating other affiliations within the party. It doesn't work like that. You step out if you're not happy or if you don't share the same vision as the party, so that you can go and serve Kenyans in how you feel best represented, or in the best outfit you feel that you can serve Kenyans. And then you leave the others to do the thing that they do. And so it doesn't come as a surprise, of course, because this has been in the public purview. It doesn't come as a surprise. But I don't like to mention too much because I don't know also the details of what goes on inside.
Okay. And of course, one of your leaders was in Wiper, that is Johnston Muthama, is now the party chairman.
Yes, he was free enough to leave the party and go and serve Kenyans the way he feels best. Okay. Which leaves Wiper to continue with their vision, because we have a vision and we want to serve Kenyans, and that's what we've been concentrating on. And
Mheshimiwa Maure, because again, you're the senior most member of Jubilee Party, or the senior, you're still in Jubilee?
He's my junior. I am in UDA.
You left Jubilee.
But I think usually your senator, the former senator, has a problem. He doesn't worry about his content. He is always obsessed on how he can disparage somebody or somebody.
No.
When he says junior, when he came to parliament, had already been there for 10 years. So I don't know junior in what sense.
Mheshimiwa Moro, let's focus on the substantive question here, which is about the question about the National Executive Council, because we understand that now this matter will be taken to that level. Maybe you can take us through the membership of that council, knowing that some of the leaders that used to be the leaders in parliament have already been removed and new ones put in there. So who will be sitting in this council to make this decision?
Well, the executive council, in the party constitution, it consists of the party leader and several other affiliate parties, but usually those who have not read the Jubilee constitution. The party leader has literally sweeping powers over the party. And those who are sitting down and doing the party constitution, they really celebrated it. So there is no problem with the party decision, whereby you would go and clean up the party, the way it has been done. Because actually, over the time, I think the last 1 year, there have been quite a lot of changes, whereby the same deputy party leader had control, actually had majority control over the party, over this National Management Committee membership, because this is actually the engine of the party. Even though the National Management or the National Executive Committee is supposed to be the decision-making, most of the decisions are actually done by the Management Committee. So when they have done a decision, they have gone ahead to do replacements. All of them are waiting the Executive Committee decision. But in the meantime, the party leader can overturn, he can ratify, or he can suspend any of those decisions of the National
I'm looking at your
Committee.
constitution, and
Yes.
it says that there shall be a National Executive Committee. I don't know, is this the committee that will make that decision?
Yes.
And it comprises of the following: all the national officials,
Yes.
all members of the National Advisory Council, the National Assembly leader, the Senate leader, chairpersons of the party parliamentary caucuses, chairperson of the Governors Caucus, the party whip in the Senate, the party whip in National Assembly, secretary to the parliamentary group, chairperson of the National MCA Caucus, Women's League, and so many others. Well, I don't see your position specifically because yours is deputy.
Yes.
But so what follows? Because you're saying that the party leader has sweeping powers, but all these men and women...
No, I mean, if you look at what a party leader is supposed to do, those decisions, or even calling for that executive, it is the party leader who calls it. That's what I meant.
I'm lost. So would there be a decision made based on this recommendation?
Well, if a decision has been made, I'm sure it will be made.
Okay.
Yes.
Senator Halwale, so now what happens, because he is still the deputy president as per the constitution and as per the election of 2017, and all this is happening within the Jubilee Party, and he has said that Jubilee Party remains focused on its agenda based on its manifesto. So what happens if this decision is taken?
I don't think the constitution of a political party supersedes the Constitution of Kenya. And if it is the Constitution of Kenya that we are using to run the affairs of the Republic, a deputy president cannot be removed as deputy president because of challenges that a political party has in terms of discipline. The provisions for removal of a deputy president are clearly stated in the Constitution of Kenya, and therefore the expectations of Kenyans is that unless we are going to be witnessing pure impunity, then what would happen is that Jubilee will transact its business, but then they will have to subject themselves to the Constitution of Kenya. I mean, Maoka, you know, many political parties have tried for a long time to remove members of parliament, and they have failed. I think the latest to our minds is attempts by the ANC to remove Senator Malala. They were unable. You cannot manage.
Though he reconciled later on.
Yeah, they have reconciled. I remember earlier on TNA, not TNA, yes, TNA, not TNA, PNU, tried to throw out Senator Ephraim Maina. He went to court. He stopped them. ODM has been trying for a very long time in this particular term to remove Honorable Aisha Jumwa. They go to court and they just told you cannot do it because the constitution is superior to the provisions of political parties. At the end of the day, what you are seeing is not an attempt to remove the deputy party leader of Jubilee. What you are seeing is now an attempt to begin the process of removing the deputy president from the position of deputy president. That is basically what is there. And I know it cannot work. For it to work, there is the constitutional way of doing it. If anybody wants to remove him, they would do it. I'm not saying they would fail, but then you just have to build the numbers for impeachment. There is no shortcut.
Honorable Onyonka, is that even necessary at this point in time?
I think to a large extent we are in the mode of transiting from President Uhuru's presidency to the next phase. I'm happy that my Mwami here raised the issue of building the numbers. For me, what I'm actually foreseeing, if I was thinking and looking at this thing strategically, I would then right now be looking at the possibility, does the president have the numbers to impeach his deputy who has become cantankerous, annoying, rebellious, and is not interested in listening to what the president says? My brother,
is that your opinion or based on the allegations?
But you need to read the paper and look at what is there.
No, I'm asking, you said he's
I mean,
what
I'm saying is, if you look at, for example, when Deputy President makes his speeches in public, remember when he talked about the deep state? You remember when he talks about how watu hawa ambao ni wa
Wakora.
You're right. I mean, I don't even have to go to the detail. What I'm actually, for me, saying is very simple. As my brother Bonnie is being extremely careful how to maneuver this thing. Bonnie, this thing is being prepared for the impeachment of the DP. The impeachment is going to come, and with impeachment, you don't go to court. All that the president needs to have is 2/3 of the votes in the House and in the Senate. Pray that he doesn't have those numbers. If he does have those numbers, and this is historical, remember there was an impeachment motion by James Orengo against who? George Saitoti. Remember there have been an impeachment motion by you, none other than yourself. Kimunya must go. Who was talking about Kimunya must go? It was you.
I build the numbers.
So pray that Sam, pray that President Uhuru and Honorable Maoka Maore here and the Jubilee honchos don't have the 2/3 majority. And you see, in this case, they have got my party leader Moses Wetangula coming with Ford Kenya. They have Wiper coming with their numbers. They have got ODM joining in the team, hoping that ODM hasn't been messed up. So, and then you have ANC. Pray, Bonnie, that you actually have the numbers to protect your candidate, because the reality is the moment this thing comes to the floor of the House, when it does, these people of Kinamaore and company would have had the numbers ready. They will not bring an impeachment motion if they don't have the numbers.
Is that the desire, to impeach the deputy president?
That's right.
No, I think it is not fair to have speculation and wishes broadcast on television. The Jubilee, we are now okay. When we are not okay, we will come and let you know.
What does that even mean? You're already processing a motion here that has been passed by the National Management Committee to remove the deputy president from being deputy party leader. And there's an allegation here that the bigger picture is to remove him from the deputy presidency. And I'm looking at Article 150 that guides the process of impeachment. Let me just locate that and read to you what the grounds should be. because the removal of a deputy president follows the same procedure just like that of a president. So Article 150 takes a bit of time to scroll up, but the deputy president may be removed from office on the ground of physical or mental incapacity to perform the functions of the office. I don't know whether that has been witnessed. On the ground of a gross violation, that is on impeachment, on the grounds of a gross violation of a provision of this constitution or any other law. Maybe you can tell us where that would be. And where there are serious reasons to believe that the deputy president has committed a crime under national or international law, and also for gross misconduct. Are there any grounds that you've seen that would warrant the use of Article 150?
No, usually when, as the Honorable Onyonka has mentioned to you, when those issues are assembled and the motion has to be drafted, you must make sure you have the numbers to start with, and then you can now list the grounds for the impeachment.
So
when you have then decided.
You start with the numbers and then you look for the grounds.
Yes. So the numbers is actually my duty as the whip, or the office of the whip is the one that assembles the numbers. So when we feel safe, we will alert the party that we have the numbers.
Do you have the numbers now?
For what?
That would
to impeach.
allow you go through that process.
No, I'm explaining to you, when a motion is brought to the party leader, he will check with the National Assembly. He will call the chief whip. When the chief whip is called, we will sit down and then check whether we have the numbers. So when they are ready, they will alert us.
Maure,
yes.
You've been in Parliament for a long time.
Yes.
And you know the process a motion goes through before it comes before the floor of the House. The President has no role. The person who is supposed to be satisfied by those numbers is the Speaker.
No,
So what you should be telling us as a whip, deputy whip, that you have whipped enough members. It doesn't matter whether you have brought them.
No, whip them for what? Nobody has brought a motion. That's what I meant. That's what I mean.
It doesn't matter whether you have whether your tactics of whipping them is giving them cars or buying them a helicopter each. But you tell us that you have whipped enough members to let the motion come before the House before you whip the 2/3 majority.
Okay.
You have a mountain to climb.
Article
We have to respect our constitution. If we make the constitution so easy, the country would be perpetually in elections, impeachment after impeachment. That is why the threshold has been raised. Not because somebody doesn't like your face.
You cannot degenerate any further. He knows what they have put the country through from 2018. After the 2017 election, we have been actually on an election mood every day, starting with those homecoming parties, where all of them coming with endorsement, oh, we are with you 2022. That was 2017 December.
And that's what I'm asking, Honorable Maure.
So what kind of more anarchy than that?
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Based on Article 150 that gives on the
Yes.
grounds of impeachment,
Yes.
is there anything that you would say the Deputy President has done that would warrant the use of that article?
I can assure you, he has broken every rule in the book of all those things. If you were to wake up one morning and just draft those issues, it is there.
Okay. Article 144, you'll take us out of this because you have handled the impeachment of 2 governors in this country as the Senate. Article 144 of the Constitution talks about the removal of president on grounds of incapacity, and then goes ahead to Article 145, let me see, a removal of president by impeachment, which is also to be used for the removal of a deputy president if at all it's necessary. A member of the National Assembly, supported by at least 1/3 of all members, may move a motion for the impeachment of the president on the ground of a gross violation of a provision of this constitution, and where there are serious reasons for believing that the president has committed a crime under national or international law or for gross misconduct. And if a motion, this is sub-article 2, if a motion under clause 1 is supported by at least 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly, the Speaker shall inform the Speaker of the Senate of that resolution within 2 days. The President shall continue to perform, in this case the Deputy President, shall continue to perform the functions of the office pending the outcome of the proceedings required under this article. And within 7 days after receiving notice of a resolution from the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the Senate shall convene a meeting And the Senate, by resolution, may appoint a special committee of 11 members to investigate the matter. A special committee appointed under that article will investigate the matter, but sub-article 5 says that, or clause 5, the president shall have the right to appear and be represented, but again, it would require a 2/3 majority to remove a deputy president. And knowing that you've gone through impeachment of 2 governors, the governor of, or the former governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waititu, and the former governor of Nairobi, Mike Sonko, how did it work? Is it the formula or the route as suggested by Malcolm Ore? You look for the numbers first, then the grounds, or the grounds, then the numbers?
You know, it's important to understand that a lot of these processes are very political. As much as, you know, the process is clearly stipulated there, in the end, it's also political. And, you know, the government of the day tends to have its way in the sense that if they're able to mobilize these numbers that they're talking about in the Constitution, then the government gets its way. So more often than not, that is usually what happens, and that's why you're hearing of the whipping in Parliament that happens. Because, again, if you do not share the vision of a political party, and we saw that with some of the governors that were impeached, their lack of sharing the vision is what largely led to their fate, over and above, of course, their, you know, gross misconduct, and some of them, the cases were, you know, in the open. It was rather clear that, you know, they had violated the seat that they held, and therefore they didn't deserve it, but also they had fallen out with their political party. So a lot of this is fairly, you can fairly say it is largely political processes, and in the end we have to stand with the political party, because it's the vehicle that brings us to, you know, these powers and privileges that we enjoy. And we share visions, and we share an agenda which we want to fulfill at that point in time. So therefore, that's why you're hearing of the whipping of the numbers that happens in Parliament. Right. That is just how it happens. Okay, all right. And of course, we'll continue to watch on what happens of this decision, whether it will find its way to the National Executive Committee and whether it will be processed to the bigger agenda, according to one Mheshimiwa Onyonka here. Yeah,
Jubilee should continue with the mess they have. Me, I'm happy.
You're happy?
As a member of the opposition, I'm just thrilled.
Okay, all right.
You know, quite honestly, Senator, I hear you, and it is very exciting because we are a youth. Are you telling me that you guys don't subscribe to the provision of the Constitution on leadership and integrity as senators?
Oh, no, no, no.
The same leaders, almost in a similar motion, saved Waiguru, but got rid of Waititu and Sonko. You are therefore saying,
no, I didn't say that.
You are there under the capture of the executive, under the capture of the political leadership of your party.
Actually,
that you are not representatives of the people of Kenya.
Let me say it, since you're challenging.
Senator, allow her to
Let me respond to that, since you want to challenge that. If you remember the case of Waititu, and this is, first let me be clear. It's not that the facts of the case are not laid out. They're usually very clearly laid out by the time they're coming into Parliament. We're always given a chance to go through the documents so that we may understand what is the issues. Some are so glaring, you don't even need to read the volumes of documents that come out once you see, you know, the case ahead in front of you. In the case of Waititu, if you remember very well, and the issue of the land that he had taken away from a widow, what more do you need to have a conversation around that? When it came to Waiguru's case, her issues with the county assembly, you know, remember they played out, but there was not enough evidence. And that was committed again to a committee, whereas the other one was committed to the plenary. It's not that the Senate does not look at the merit of the case. We actually do, even though the Constitution gives very tight timelines. The timelines are usually very tight when it comes to prosecuting these cases. But it's not that we don't look at the merit of the case, but also it will be dishonest if we say it is also not a political process. There's a lot of political process that happens with these issues. And that's the truth. And you know it yourselves. In fact, talk about dalliance of Parliament and executive. We have seen that in this Jubilee government. In fact, it has been the biggest problem with the service delivery to Kenyans because of the dalliance between Jubilee, the Parliament, and the executive. I mean, look at what the Jubilee government did to judiciary.
The budget.
You literally cut the feet of
all right, I want us to take a short break
variance.
so that we can transition from this to the next topic, which will be about the state of the economy. I'm sure all of you have seen what is happening to the palm prices, the impact that it's going to have on the cost of living. We'll be talking about that after the break, so stay tuned.